Hello my friends, my name is Lindsey and I run the blog Books for Christian Girls, and welcome to or welcome back to the little corner of the internet where I talk mainly about Christian fiction. With today being a recent reads, I have Christian fiction, clean fiction, fairy tale retellings, ones that are kind of in between Christian fiction and clean fiction. It has been a while since I have sat down to film a video, and I've been meaning to film this video for weeks, so unfortunately I will be kind of dusting off cobwebs about some of these books, but I do have reviews down below that I will link about content details and all that, but I will try to go through these books somewhat fast because we have 18 today, and that is way more than I ever really like to talk about. That's a lot of books to talk about, and then I'm currently in the middle of 2 different books, and if I finish those before I finish editing this video, I'll try to just squeeze those 2 books in wherever they go. But for now, we're going to get started with Christian fiction, and as always, I will have them rated lowest to highest in the genre. Let's get started. My first one is just a little middle grade, and that is Elizabeth Gail and the Mystery at Johnson Farm by Hilda Stahl. Stahl? I'm not sure how you pronounce this author's name. That's fine. So this was actually published in 1978, so it was contemporary of its time, but it's pretty vintage. I won't say dated, I'll say vintage now. But this is about a girl named Elizabeth Gail, and if I remember right, she's like, what, 11, 12? Yeah, 11 to 12. And she has gone around to foster home, and she's now with this one family, and they just kind of seem too good to be true. And because she has been hurt, she hurts others, and then there's certain things happening that imply that she's not listening to instructions, and accidents are happening, and they're pretty serious ones, and just a lot of odd things are happening, and she's trying to figure out who is doing these things and blaming her for it because it's not her. Personally, I gave this as a 2.5 star. It really bothered me that none of the adults listened to Libby. Libby's her nickname. And I was just like, y'all, where are the adults in this? Like, they were okay. They were okay. I have a couple other books in this series, so I'll read them. I know this is a very nostalgic series for a lot of readers. I didn't love it. I do think it could be potentially triggering or relatable for those who are adopted or in the foster care system or were in the system, because she has a lot of conflicting emotions, and because we see her thoughts and her point of view, you really get that full on, and it just made my heart hurt for her, and I just wanted to give her a hug. And I don't know, like, I felt for her, but at the same time I got annoyed by different things, particularly the adults not listening, but that's that. Another book I read that I believe is available on Kindle Unlimited is Winter at the White Queen by Denise Weimer, I think is maybe how you pronounce this author's name. This was a shorter historical fiction book that was just pretty cute. I gave it kind of like a 3.5. It's on the fence of those, so I'm not quite sure, but it was pretty cute. Our main girl in this one is Ellie, and she has basically been given the job by her aunt, who is her guardian, to find out about all the different people that are interested in her cousins, and like if they will be suitable, and you know, all that kind of thing. So Ellie is really kind of used by her aunt for that. And so her last cousin needs to get married, and so Ellie and them went to this resort in Florida in winter, which I don't know why, that was just such a fun concept to me. This whole series though is following different resorts in the early 1900s, so I'm definitely going to be checking out the rest of the series. I need a drink of water, I'm so sorry, I'm going hoarse. This is only book 2, this is not boding well. So that's basically the premise of the series, and I believe they're written by a few different authors. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head, but I will be checking them out, especially as they're on Kindle Unlimited. But this was just really fun. This cover is really pretty. It was really cute. So she gets involved in a mystery, and the main guy, at first you're kind of like, what's up with this guy? And then things are revealed, and you're like, okay, he's a decent guy. And he is involved with a magician, and that was very interesting to see that kind of element of it, and it was pretty cute. It was jumpy at times because it's about 200 pages, but other than that, it was a short, pleasant, cute little read. Another Christian fiction book I read was Her Part to Play by Jenny Erlingsson. This is the author's debut fiction book. And while I have been pretty hesitant on debut authors lately, I was curious about this one because I had heard some promising things about it. But basically our main girl, oh, they said how to pronounce her name. I want to see if I can pronounce it. It's different. It's really pretty. Audene. Audene? Audene? Dane. Adene? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Like, you can spell it out and give me the pronunciation guide and I still will butcher it, so I'm sorry. But she is a makeup artist in her small town in Alabama. And then here comes this movie coming to film in her small town and our celebrity male lead. But he is kind of that reformed bad boy trope, which I am very, very particular on, because sometimes authors, even the Christian fiction authors, will just give you too much about the filth and the sin that they were living in, and we're so harped on that, I don't really get to see the redemption, if you will, or like just them trying to turn over a new leaf. But in this book, the author did very well with showing that he does regret his actions and he's trying really hard to do better. And so I do appreciate that element of it. But they actually, when he was still a bad boy, when he was still a jerk and very arrogant, he got her fired from a job in LA, and that kind of just like sent her into a tailspin. So that they have a history. She's kind of like about him, but he doesn't even recognize her, so there's that whole kind of element. It's very Hallmarkish, I won't lie. If you really like Hallmark movies, you may really like this one. I gave it a 3.5, so it wasn't a miss for me because I did enjoy different elements, but it was cute. It was very cute, sweet, had some good faith content. I will say the main girl annoyed me a few times with certain actions and thoughts that she had. And thankfully it doesn't last too long, but there was a few parts where I'm just like, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, this is a terrible idea. But other than that, and like there was a couple other things I'm like, why is this a big deal? I'm not getting why this is a big deal. But like other than that, I did enjoy this book. I will most likely keep my copy because I did think it was cute. I like the celebrity lead and then the other one's just like from somewhere else, and I think that's always a fun trope to read. In this case, he was a celebrity, she's the small town makeup artist. If you really like Hallmark movies and the small town vibe, I think this would probably be a hit for you. I thought it was pretty cute. I'd be curious to see what this author writes next. One book that really took me by surprise for how much I enjoyed it was The Starlet Spy by Rachel Scott McDaniel. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I would have given it a 4. Like, the plot-wise, it was a 4 for me, but I bumped it down to a 3.5 because of just some kissing and kind of comment/suggestions that I was like, I don't love that. But this one has one of my buzzwords, and that is spy. And the main girl is actually an actress. This is set during World War II. She is an actress, and she is actually from, oh, my mind just went blank. Where was she from? Sweden. That's right. She's from Sweden, and she has been offered to basically go back to her home country of Sweden, which was a neutral country during World War II. They didn't pick a side. They traded with both sides of the war. And so that all was very interesting. The history of all that was just fascinating. But then you just add in that she's an actress that's very known for playing like a dumb blonde character. And she's going back to her home country and able to get in under the guise that her mother is sick. Her mother's fine, but that's the whole story. So she's going to go visit, but she's got to figure out what happened to these important like nuclear bomb paperwork stuff. That was interesting. That was so interesting. The series so far, I've read 3 books in this series, and they've all been pretty good hits for me so far, so I am really excited about that. I will definitely be getting a copy of this book. I'm going horse again. What is up with this? I really did enjoy this book. Again, I would have given it 4 stars, but just because of a couple things, I'm just like, oh, man, okay, 3.5. But I did really enjoy like the elements of it. I highlighted my copy on Kindle all over the place. Once I get my copy, I will probably be doing a few like TikToks and Reels of different quotes because there were so many parts. I was just like, Like, it was pretty good. Like, I was very, very pleasantly surprised by this one. I've never read any other books by this author, and I will definitely be checking out some of her other books now because, I don't know, you just add in a spy to the plot, and then you've got this girl that is so smart and speaks multiple languages, but she's playing this dumb blonde, and I just thought that was such a, like, I felt so giddy being in the know. That's like, oh, this girl knows, she knows way more than anyone's letting on kind of thing. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed that aspect. It's kind of like the hidden identity trope, if you will. And then, of course, the main guy is someone that she's got to watch, of course. And it's like, where does his loyalties lie? What's going on here? You're not sure who to trust. And I like that. That's, I think, my favorite part of the spy main character trope. Is that a trope? It's not a trope. Anyway, of that is, like, they don't know who to trust. And typically, that includes even the love interest, and I'm here for that. I really am. A middle grade book I recently-ish read was Dawn in the Letters by Eliza Noel. Book 1 was Dawn Chandler, which I have talked about maybe a couple of recent reads ago. I'm not sure which recent read it was, but I'll link it up there if y'all would like to hear it. But this was a continuation, and I really liked that it picked up right when the first book left off. Like, it was like the next day. And I'm always happy when a series does that because I don't want to miss out on anything. Whenever there's a time jump in between books in the series, I'm always disappointed. Always. Even though I could be so excited for the book, I'm always disappointed there's a time jump. So I was really glad this one didn't have one because it left off with, like, kind of an exciting announcement, if you will, and I wanted to see what would happen. So this one was very cute. We have more about the girl that is giving Dawn kind of grief, if you will, because there's things going on in that girl's life. So we have more about just, you know, middle grade always has good lessons. So it has about being kind to those who maybe aren't kind to you and being understanding, but then you also have a little bit of a mystery where they have these letters and they are trying to track someone down that hasn't been heard from in a long time. I don't remember how many years it was, like 20, 30, something like, plus maybe more than that, I don't remember. But it was really cute. I gave it 4 stars. This has been a fantastic little duology for middle grade readers, but you know, I'm above middle grade age and I really enjoyed it. It's just so nice to see both of these books really highlighted like positive homeschooling aspects and positive large family representations, and I just really, really, really appreciate seeing that because I don't see that often in middle grade, let alone Christian middle grade, so this was a major success. I need to get a copy of this book. My last Christian fiction book, well, my last official Christian fiction book, really, my last official one, because I've got 4 other books that have elements, but I don't really think of them as Christian fiction. We'll discuss that. But my last one was one of my most anticipated releases for 2024, and that is Meeting Her Match by Jen Turano. This was so cute. This was so cute. This is the final book in the Matchmakers trilogy, which I'm going to say is my favorite series by this author. Big claim right there. Big claim right there. I really, really enjoyed the After Fashion. I liked that trilogy. I can't even think of the trilogy name, but I really enjoyed that trilogy. But then I also really enjoyed the Trouble in Store, the girl with the trunk, and then the girl leaning on the table with the tea set. I can see the covers. I really liked both of those trilogies. And in all honesty, I probably would have to reread them to really say that this one was my favorite trilogy. I would have to think more about that. But currently, because this series is so fresh and it has so many tropes I really, really enjoyed, I'm going to say this has been my new favorite trilogy by this author. For favorite books, book 2 in this series is my definitely my favorite. And then I really, really, really like A Change of Fortune by Jen Turano. That was her debut book. I can just read the first few chapters of that and just crack up. And I have done that multiple times. I haven't even read the rest of the book multiple times, but I've read just the first few chapters multiple times, and I just love it so much. And then Flights of Fancy I remember really enjoying, and Trouble in Store I remember really enjoying. So I don't know. I don't think I could rank them because I've read them over like the course of 10 years since being on the internet. So I don't know, but this one, okay, anyway, so we're getting distracted. I would say this is probably my favorite series by this author. This has been just so much fun with the matchmaking, but this is about Camilla, and Camilla is a professional matchmaker, and we really saw her in book 2. My one little tiny complaint, I just gotta put this out real quick, is, well, I have 2, but they're tiny, like they're pretty minuscule. Number 1, there wasn't a lot of faith content in this book. There was a little bit in like church going, but there wasn't really a lot of faith content, so it's more of just like a fun, humorous read, kind of silly, I won't lie, there's silly parts, but it's so fun to read. And then my other one would be is we don't see the main couple from book 1 in the epilogue of this series, which I was disappointed about, but we do see Adelaide and Gideon from book 2, and they are fantastic. I really liked them, so I was fine with that. But this is about Camilla, and she, at the very beginning, and I think it says on the back, so it's not, no, okay, yeah, it says on the back, so it's not a spoiler, but she is having an attempted kidnapping on her and her lady's maid, and so here comes this giant man who she is concerned is with the kidnappers, but turns out it's not. It's Owen, our male lead, and he is trying to talk to Camilla about potentially taking on his sister, not as like a matchmaker case, but like as a fellow woman and helping her get used to society because some guy broke her heart and so she broke his nose. Yes. Lewellen was great. I feel like I'm rambling, but Lewellen was great. And so Camilla is kind of like, okay, yes, I'll go, and it's off to West Virginia, which was way more country setting than I was expecting, but it doesn't have like the society that we see in our typical historical fiction early 1900s New York City timeline. So it was really interesting because Owen has a Meemaw. I have a Meemaw. I thought that was almost identical. No. Well, slightly. Like, I was just like, wow, I'm being reminded of my own Meemaw with this. So it was very funny and just different elements. I give it an easy 4 stars. Really enjoyed a lot of different aspects of it. What else can I say? I don't think I can say anything else besides I really enjoyed it. This was a fantastic trilogy. I'm super excited for the author's next series that I've seen hints about, but this one was really fun. This was such a fun trilogy. I don't know if it's going to be able to be topped. I laughed so much when reading this, and it was just so humorous and silly and fun and just a very, very good time. I think I covered enough about that book. I feel like I totally just rambled through all of that, so hopefully you made sense of it, but look at that nice green spine. We know where that's going on my bookshelf. Okay, so moving on into my clean/Christian category, because they're clean. They're definitely on the clean side, but there's a few elements of Christian fiction, and all 4 books are published by Enclave, so that kind of tells you that right there. So the first one I'll discuss is The Chaos Grid by Lyndsey Lewellen. I gave this one 2 stars. How do I explain this book? It's kind of dystopian, but it's dystopian set in Texas, which, being from and living in Texas, I did find that part very interesting to read like a fantasy setting book, but in Texas. And basically our main girl, what was the point of this? I'm trying to remember. So our main girl is Jupiter, and there's slight nods to the events of Jonah in the Bible, with the fact that she has been told to go do something and she is like, no, I don't want to go there. They killed my family. I don't want to go to that city. I don't want to help them. So she runs away and basically joins in on this trucking, shipping industry thingamajig, and she goes out to dangerous areas with the group and delivers food to other places and that kind of thing. And lots of things happen. Don't you love how I explain fantasy books? I know you do. It was interesting. I was confused for the majority of the book and trying to figure out what was happening and what was going on and how things were connected and related. I don't like it when we're left out on a character's backstory, and I definitely felt that with this book. I don't know how to explain my feelings on this book. I tried in my review, but I feel like I was just like talking out loud in my review because I'm just like, I feel so scattered. I don't know, like, what did I just read? I'm not quite sure. There was a lot of really weird mutant creatures, and then my main, like, I would say this was pretty clean overall, but there was this one creepy man that kept making suggestive comments to Juniper, and I really don't know why that was necessary to add. Like, I feel like that this book could have been fine for, like, I don't know, younger high school, even junior high girls, but because of that, those few comments, I was just like, why is he here? What is this being added for? Like, okay, he's a creep. We can already get that without suggestive comments being written. So that was a miss for me on that. You could see that there was a Jonah-inspired allegory at times, but it was very light. There was a couple mentions of God, and it felt out of place almost, because we're not, like, this is like 100+ years in the future. The rest of the country's in a disaster, and you've got these special little domes that are safe to live in for these different cities. And outside of those domes, it's chaos. You've got these mutant, giant creature, creepy things. But, like, we're not really told anything about any type of religion. We're just having a couple mentions of God, like a few mentions of God and praying. And I don't know, it felt odd. It felt odd. I'm so sorry. I know there's friends who like this book. I don't get it. I don't get it. I probably won't read the rest of the series. I don't know if it's a series or a duology. I don't remember. I probably won't be continuing, though. I wasn't invested enough. And also the main guy was just, I didn't like him. I wanted to kick him. He was rude. I didn't like him. So moving on into my other Enclave books to talk about. I read them all. I read them all, my dear friends, as I drop stuff. Okay, this isn't going to work out well. So, this is The Children of the Consortium, something like that, series by Kathy McCrum. I have heard such good things about Recorder since it released, really. So, a couple years ago. These are really heavy. Why are hardbacks so heavy? And I've been curious about it, so I finally read them. And because this is sci-fi, like legit sci-fi, my dear friends. I'm not a sci-fi person. Like, I'm trying. But so far I haven't had a successful sci-fi, and unfortunately that includes in these books. So, how do I explain this book? This is a trilogy. Book 3 just released. Because I had read this one, I went ahead and read books 2 and 3 just because all of the concept and the world and all the details of it were somewhat fresh in my mind. Like, I can't imagine reading these with like a year in between each other. Oh, my poor brain could never. Could never. I would need like a summary recap. So, Recorder. So, our main girl, she doesn't have a name, but she is a recorder, which is basically in this government, in this world, in this science fiction world. Not even world. They're out in space, so I can't even say in a world, because they're in space. There's multiple worlds, and stars, and galaxies, and all that stuff. I don't know. I did not grow up on Star Wars or Star Trek or anything like that, so this is outside of my comfort zone. This is outside of my comfort zone, but I keep trying because I'm like, this sounds like a great plot. And it honestly sounded like, I kept hearing, when people would talk about it, I would go, oh, that sounds like Anomaly by Krista McGee, and we all know I love that series. We all know I love that series. So I was very curious. Yet I think that was a problem, that I was subconsciously trying to compare the two, and I knew I wasn't supposed to do that. And I don't think, that definitely didn't help, because this is sci-fi, that is dystopian. The only thing that they have in common is they're kind of anomalies in their community, since I can't say world, because it's not set in a world. But anyway, so our main girl is a recorder, and basically that is someone who was gifted to the government when they were in the womb, basically, and by their biological parents, and so they have been raised by the government, and in her case, to record everything. So, like, if there's, like, a certain mission, and to make sure there's no bias or anything, they have a little drone that follows them, and it's described kind of like a jellyfish, so that was interesting to think about. And it follows them, but if they show any bit of emotion or bias or anything that could alter the records that they're supposed to be recording, they get zapped. So they quickly, you know, stuff the emotions down. Emotions, what emotions? And so our main girl is on this, like, big first mission, and something happens where her drone is attacked. And so that just sets off our trilogy here. And how can you have a droneless recorder, and then she's starting to feel emotions, and she's not being punished for those emotions by the drone because the drone is in pieces. And that brings me into one part I really, really didn't like about this trilogy. And now, if you don't do bugs, giant bugs, man-eating bugs, if you don't just do cockroaches, this series ain't for you. This series ain't for you. That is one bug oh gosh, I don't like those. I don't think, well, okay, Wally liked them, so I can't say nobody liked them. But, ugh. Oh, like, y'all, that was gross. So by the third book, I just started trying to picture them as, like, giant centipedes, and that helped a lot. But this first book, I was struggling with that. I was struggling. And with that, just the bug element was just gross. Was just gross, y'all. I don't do bugs, but I especially don't do those bugs. Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. And I don't know why. Why is it with sci-fi books we always have to have like giant mutant creatures? Why? Especially bugs. Why? 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 Oh, I did struggle with this first book because of that though. And then also this book kind of just had like a, to me, let me give the note. To me, it felt like it had a kind of depressing, hopeless vibe. And I was just like, this is not what I was expecting. Like, it was what I was expecting, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I expected to, which was really disappointing. But I did, so I ended up giving this one a 2-star rating. But then I picked up book 2, and that was Aberration. Aberration. I think I got that. And I gave this one a 2.5. We have a little bit more faith content, but it still is more along the lines of religion isn't supposed to be discussed except for those you know who have the same religion as you in this setting. So we have kind of that, and like nobody really talks about it, but then we get a little bit more with the third book, Guardian. And I will be honest, I was a little disappointed by the ending, especially with reading book 2. I did a status update on Goodreads. Like if this government doesn't burn to the ground in book 3, I'm gonna be mad. And yeah, wasn't a happy camper. Like things end on a more hopeful note with that third book, but I don't know. Maybe it's the rebellion American in me. But when I read about a book and there is a government that is obviously doing awful, evil, corrupt things, we take it down. That's, hi, 1700s, anybody? We're throwing the tea in the harbor kind of thing. Like that's the rebellion I want. But no, we don't get that in this series. So it's really hard for me to not have that expectation, I think, that, okay, corrupt, evil government, we're going to take them down. We're going to burn them to the ground. We're going to, gone. And then that doesn't happen? Weird. So, there is that. That is probably just me, though. That I'm just like, no. Where's my flamethrower? I got a match. Let's do this. We ride at dawn kind of concept, because I was disappointed. Like the ending is good. Like it's good. It's what's the word I'm looking for? I was okay with it. Let's put it that way. I was okay with the ending. I didn't love the ending because there was a major lack of buildings on fire, but it wasn't bad. If you like sci-fi, you may like this series. You may totally like it. What do I think of it? I don't know yet. I really don't know. Like 2, 2.5, 3. Wait, I did that wrong. 2, 2.5, 3-ish. The faith content is super light. I want to note real quick that I am noticing a thing with Enclave published books, and this is just me, okay? This is just me, and that's totally fine. I haven't liked any of the romances. Like, I don't think I'm that, like, wanting a romance-driven book, because, like, I'm fine with having, like, light romance and that kind of thing, but I'm not cheering for really any of the romances in these different Enclave books I've read. I think I've probably read about 12 now, 10 to 15 at least, and I can't recall a single one where I really liked the main couple. Like, okay, so speaking of ones I own on my shelf from them, I don't know if I'm keeping these. I may keep them for a time because it really, like, made me think about, like, what would I do in this situation? I would burn things to the ground. Well, that's not probably the right reaction, Lindsey. So I may keep these for a time, but I'm not going to be putting them on my rainbow shelves. They're going to go up in, like, the fantasy shelf up there. Where is it? There. This shelf. May go up there. I don't know. But for the Enclave published books I own, so the Color Theory series by Ashley Bustamante, I've read books 1 and 2. Elm, the main guy, like, he's not bad. He has his moments. But at the same time, it's like, you met this guy, you know he's a wanted criminal in the woods. Like, logic is not our strong suit, dearie. So, like, again, I can't really cheer for that romance. Like, they have their parts where I'm like, okay, they're cute. But then they have their other parts where I'm just like, my fellow teen girl. Well, I can't say my fellow teen girls. I'm in my 20s. But dear teen girls, please don't mimic what she's doing. And that kind of regard. And then with the Wonderland Trials duology, the Curious Reality duology, the Wonderland Trials and the Looking Glass Illusion. Cheshire, love his name, but he said something hurtful to the main girl, Alice, and, like, I was ready to, like, go after him with the pitchfork in the first book. And in the second book, we see his perspective, and it's like, okay, you've gotten better. You've gotten better. But I still was just like, to him over that comment he made to Alice. I would have fought him for her, but she was too busy noticing his eyes, probably. But elsewise, I don't own any other Enclave books. All the other ones I decided not to get because I didn't enjoy them enough. But literally, there hasn't been a single one where the romance has just got me, like, kicking my feet giggly. And that's always fun. When a fantasy book does that, I love it. It's so much fun. So, like, with Assassin of Fire and Sacrifice by Mary Meckham, I talked about that in my last recent reads. That one is it's a Kindle Unlimited one, not affiliated with Enclave at all. But that one, the banter, the wit, just the cuteness, I was like, I was kind of freaking out. That's great when a fantasy book does that. But I haven't had that sensation at all with an Enclave book. And it's kind of a bummer. It's kind of a bummer. So, like, that all pulls me back to, with this series, is I didn't feel the romance in this one. And, like, I should have been like, oh, they call each other, like, my heart, and that kind of thing. Like, that's all, that should be cute. I was just reading it. I felt emotionless reading it. And I don't know if that's because we're in her point of view. And, like, she doesn't really have an emotion. She's kind of robotic, if you will. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I'd be very curious for those who have read this series or any of the books. How did you feel about the romance? We get more of it in the third book, of course, as the series goes. But I'd be very curious because, like, I should have been like, oh, this is so cute. They're great. But I wasn't. And to be fair, that is definitely not the main focus of this book or the series. The romance is definitely, like, not even second fiddle, maybe like fourth fiddle to everything else going on, which I like because life and death situations over here and giant man-eating bugs. But still, I just didn't feel the romance. So y'all let me know if y'all have read this series. What did y'all think of it? It wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. It was okay. I don't know. So book 1 has already been reviewed on BFCG here in July. But then book 2 will be reviewed in August and book 3 in September. I'm trying to not... I've always tried not to do the same series within the same month on BFCG. So they're going to be kind of staggered out. But, yeah. I don't know. I want to keep these books, number one, because they're hardback, but then also they just feel nice. They're not quite that banana peel cover I despise. They're kind of, they're soft. I don't know, that sounds so weird. Like, how can paper be soft? I don't know, but it is. So, like, I'd like to keep them, and they're very pretty. And look, I read, like, that many pages within a few days. And, like, I wanted to know answers, so it's not bad. I wanted to know answers. I wanted to figure things out. I couldn't just Google for the answers to be satisfied, because I probably would have done that if I could have. Probably would have done that. Especially that the ending was a lack of fire and buildings on fire. But I had to read them to get the answers. So, I mean, I was invested enough to keep reading and to try to make sense of what I was reading. But it was, even though it was sci-fi, the author explained things in such a natural way that I feel like other authors should learn how to do. Because I never was super duper confused. I had a couple moments of confusion, but I was never super duper confused, and I didn't feel like the plot was moving along without me. I never felt that way. Things were explained well, especially for just like, this is a brand new universe, if you will. And that element, so like, props to the authors for that. I still just don't know what I think about it, although in full. I don't know. Okay, I have 2 clean historical fiction books, and the first one is In Pursuit of a Gentleman by Arlem Hawks. This is just a little Regency novella. It's set around Christmas time, and it is actually a retelling of The Gingerbread Man. That's a morbid story, which, I mean, most fairy tales are morbid. Not sure what that's about, but like just the beginning part, I was just like, oh. It has like him being eaten. And I was like, yo, this is disturbing. I don't understand that, but I read it. And this is very funny that I read this because I'm not a big Christmas person. I'm one of those weirdos. And here I am reading a Christmas book set in July. That's really weird. So it was cute though. Like, the gingerbread element of this story was much more wholesome and cute and sweet and romantic in this book than the actual story. Like, the actual story is twisted, like most fairy tales, again. But it was really cute. The back cover kind of makes the main girl sound like she's a gold digger. Basically, she is the youngest of 9 children and has never really gotten attention from her parents. And so she is kind of determined to make a match that will make her siblings pay attention to her, her parents give her attention, all that kind of thing. And so she finds out about this one guy. And he is trying to avoid mothers and their single daughters. And so they end up striking up a friendship. And I felt tense because you know where that was going, right? Where like, sounds like she's just trying to get to him, like fake friendship to marry him kind of thing for, you know, the status and attention from her parents. You know, that's like, you see that coming down the tracks, and I was a little nervous. I was more than a little nervous. I was very tense, actually. And I was like, this isn't going to go well. This isn't going to go well. This isn't going to go well. But it's a short book, so you're not in suspense too long. And then things resolve. They're just, you know, you have got that incoming angst that you're just are trying to brace yourself for. Like, where is this going to hit? It feels like a meteorite. Wrong genre. But, yeah. It was cute, though. It was cute. For a little Christmas Regency novella, it was cute. Another clean historical fiction book I read was Protecting Her Heart by Nancy Campbell Allen. Book 1 was The Matchmaker's Lonely Heart, which I've talked about in another recent reads, and then To Capture Her Heart by Nancy Campbell Allen was book 2, and I really, really enjoyed that one. I would still say that's my favorite of this trilogy, then this one, then book 1. But I'm glad I read all 3 of them and in order because this was such a fun series. This is a Victorian series following 3 different cousins. The first one, she works at a matchmaking agency. The second one, she is a photographer and they had to fake date, and it was great. It was great. Really enjoyed that one. But then Protecting Her Heart, our main girl is a newly graduated doctor, and the main guy, they were just so cute. Like, they were friends, and because like her cousins and his co-workers have ended up together, they've kind of always been like, what would that be, the 5th and 6th wheels, especially since they're not a couple themselves. And so it was just so fun. And then you've got like some suspense elements and just all the different things. The main girl though is her father passes away right before she comes back home, and so she's on her way, and there's hints that her mother's death, there was something suspicious about it. So she is trying to figure out what happened, what was her father alluding to in his last letter. And so it had those moments where you just like, you feel for her and her grief and the sadness, but it never took over the book. There was other humor and that didn't feel poorly timed. Like, there was a very good balance in this book. The main guy though is what is he? My brain just went blank. Like, director of the London's police force, that's it. And he has had feelings for her for a long time, but she's been gone for a couple of years, and so there was just so many moments that I was just like, it was really cute, very sweet. Really enjoyed the series. I am just so like kind of tickled pink that I enjoyed this trilogy as much as I did. It was really fun, very sweet. This trilogy would be fantastic as movies if they had a really good budget and if done correctly. Like, follow the books. No liberties taken. Follow the books. The books are great. But it was just lovely. This whole series was just, it had the suspense, it had the murders, but it had cute romances. And obviously I tabbed my copy up with different parts that I just got so, like, there was historical parts, but then also there was just like humorous parts, but then there was like cute dating moments and just that kind of thing. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this book. So yay! For clean fairy tale retellings, I finished, and I finally get to talk about, is the Return to the Four Kingdoms series by, no, this isn't Return, this is the Beyond the Four Kingdoms series by Melanie Cellier. So that's A Dance of Silver and Shadow. This is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. A Tale of Beauty and Beast, retelling of the Beauty and the Beast. You probably figured that out. A Crown of Snow and Ice, which was the Snow Queen. A Dream of Ebony and White, which is Snow White. A Captive of Wing and Feather, which is a retelling of Swan Lake. And then A Princess of Wind and Wave, which was a retelling of The Little Mermaid. Now, how am I going to talk about these? I'm very excited to finally talk about this series because I've been wanting to start the next series so much. So much! I've been ready for my princessy fairy tale retellings, but I only wanted to talk about one of these series per recent reads. So next recent reads, catch me talking about the next 6 books in the next series because that's probably what I'll end up doing. Okay, so book 1 I gave 4 stars. I thought it was really fun. This one and book 2, which I gave 3.75 stars. If we're going to be technical, 4 stars, 3.75 stars. These are the twins, though, we see in the very first book of the first series, and it was really fun to see them grown up. Like, it was kind of bittersweet in a way, but I did enjoy those. Book 3, I gave 3.5 stars. This one, I gave 4.5 stars. 3.5 stars for book 5. And then A Princess of Wind and Wave, I gave 3.75. So all pretty close, with the exception of A Dream of Ebony and White. Oh, that's not A Dream of Ebony and White. A Dream of Ebony and White. This was my favorite. So if we're going to rank them, like I did the other ones, let's rank them. So A Dream of Ebony and White would definitely be number 1. Number 2 would probably be the first book, A Dream of Silver and Shadow. That was very interesting. I'm finding out that 12 Dancing Princesses retellings are catching my eye because, number 1, I think that's a really fun story, but it's really fun to see how the authors change it. And so now I have read 2. The other one would be A Lonely Dance by Selena R. Gonzalez. And they have both been pretty good successes for me, so I'm excited about that. I would then say my 3rd ranking would be book 2, A Tale of Beauty and Beast. 4th rating would be book 6, which was the Little Mermaid retelling. That one had its moments where I had to suspend my disbelief, but I did end up enjoying it. Book 5 would be the Snow White retelling. I didn't love that one. That honestly is tied for 6th with A Captive of Wing and Feather. A Captive of Wing and Feather, for some reason, just took me so long to read, and I just was having a really hard time being interested in it. I don't know why. But book 3, which I'm putting at place 5, I'm bumping it up a little bit because that bonus epilogue the author has on her website was fantastic to see all of the girls' siblings, because she is the youngest of like a bunch of different characters in the first series. So it was really fun to see all them together in that sibling bunch. So that one is why it gets 5th place, but if it didn't have that epilogue, I probably would have put it in last place because I didn't really love the magic in that book. Like, it was fine, but I didn't, like, it, I don't know, it just didn't feel like the series to me. It reminded me of Melanie Cellier's other non-princessy fairy tale series I read with the crowns on the cover. I can't think of the title of it, but that series, it reminded me like it belonged in that series, in that world, rather than this world with the fairy tale retellings. But regardless, I have finally talked about these books. Yes, okay, I have read these, I can add them back to my shelf, and now I get to continue on with the rest of the next series. I'm really, really excited about those. I've been just like, I was really binging these and it was really nice, but then I kept delaying filming this video. So I've been delayed in reading my next batch. So I'm going to get started reading the next book soon. The first book in the next series. I'm looking forward to that series. So that is it. Did I talk our ear off? Did I ramble? I feel like I totally rambled throughout this video. I'm so sorry. Let me pull up our stack. I'm going to get an arm workout. Here is our stack. Ta-da! Okay, so how many of these were on my physical TBR, you ask? I know you're curious. 12. Out of 18 books, 12 of them were on my physical TBR. That's pretty good, Lindsey. Hey. That's pretty good. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied by that. And as for books, I talked about that I don't own. Which ones would I buy? So Dawn and the Leathers, without a doubt. I definitely want to get a copy of that one. And then the Starlet Spy. Yes, I think... Oh, Winter at the White Queen was pretty cute. If I found that one like for a good price, I might pick that one up. And also depending on how I think of the rest of the series. But it's a standalone series. So I don't know on that one yet, but for the other two, definitely yes. So, whew, that is it for this video, my dear friends. We made it. I only lost my voice like 8 times in it, but that's fine. Here is our stack. Ta-da! Ooh, that's leaning. So, there we go. Let me know if y'all have read any of these. I feel like I totally rambled throughout this video, but I hope you still enjoyed it and that I was somewhat coherent. If I wasn't coherent enough about any of these books, please check out my reviews, or if you just want to know about content info, because I am human and I forget things, and I am definitely dusting off cobwebs today for this video about these books, so I may have forgotten to mention 1 or 2 things. So please, please, please check out my content reviews. I will link them down below. Aberration and Guardian will be delayed in the reviews, but everybody else is available, pretty positive. So please check those out if you want to know more about the books or the content and to make sure it's a good fit for you. But that is it. Let me know if you've read any of these. Do you want to read any of these? All my normal questions, but I really do love discussing with y'all in the comments. I'm not doing very good at responding to y'all's comments. I feel bad about that. I'm going to try to do better about that. But that is it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I will see y'all next time. These are heavy. I need to get these off my lap. That is it for this video, though. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to add some of these books back to their spots because I had organized them in my last couple of videos. So that was fun. I hope you enjoyed the bookshelf tour that I posted a few weeks ago as well. Kind of crazy that I did that finally. Like, I'm proud I finally did it, but now it's already outdated. Anyway, though, that's me being dramatic. Okay, I will see y'all next time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know all y'all's thoughts down below, and I will see y'all next time. I am Lindsey from the blog booksforchristiangirls.blogspot.com, where there is a new review every Monday and Friday. I try to post a new video on this channel every Friday, and then I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, Goodreads, all the many places to talk about books, here, there, and everywhere. I hope y'all have an absolutely lovely rest of your day. Bye, y'all!